In this episode, we focus on securing voice and collaboration systems, especially voice over IP, VoIP, and what many organizations call unified communications, in a way that keeps them reliable and clear for real users. These systems matter because they carry conversations that can be sensitive, they support urgent coordination during incidents, and they often connect many locations, devices, and service providers. Beginners sometimes assume voice is just another kind of network traffic, but voice and real-time collaboration have special requirements. They must arrive quickly, in order, and with minimal delay, or the experience becomes choppy and frustrating. Security controls that add too much latency, break traffic flows, or cause frequent re-authentication can harm call quality and availability, which leads teams to disable protections or build exceptions that become permanent. The challenge is therefore to design security that protects confidentiality, integrity, and access while respecting the timing sensitivity of voice and video. The goal is to understand how VoIP and unified communications work at a high level, what threats they face, and how architects design boundaries, identity, and monitoring without turning the system into a fragile, unusable service. Before we continue, a quick note. This audio course is a companion to our course companion books. The first book is about the exam and provides detailed information on how to pass it best. The second book is a Kindle-only ebook that contains 1,000 flashcards that can be used on your mobile device or Kindle. Check them both out at cyber.author.me in the Bare Metal Study Guide series. A helpful starting point is to understand what VoIP and unified communications actually include, because the risk and design choices depend on the system's components. VoIP replaces traditional phone circuits with packet-based voice, meaning conversations are broken into small pieces and sent over networks. Unified communications expands this idea to include voice, video, chat, presence information, conferencing, voicemail, and sometimes integration with email and calendars. These systems often rely on signaling, which is how endpoints set up and manage sessions, and media streams, which carry the actual audio and video. They also rely on identity and directories, because users need to be found, authorized, and routed correctly. Many environments include phones, soft clients on computers, mobile apps, conference room devices, and gateways that connect to external phone networks. Each of these components becomes part of the attack surface and part of the operational dependency chain. As a security architect, you want to know where calls are set up, where media flows, and which systems hold sensitive data like call records and voicemail. That clarity is the foundation for protecting the system without breaking it. The main threats to VoIP and unified communications tend to fall into a few categories that are easy to grasp when you think about what the system does. Eavesdropping is a confidentiality threat, where an attacker listens to conversations or captures media streams. Impersonation is an identity threat, where an attacker pretends to be another user, a phone, or a service to place calls, intercept calls, or trick people. Call hijacking and session manipulation are integrity threats, where signaling is altered to reroute calls or change session parameters. Denial of service is an availability threat, where the system is flooded or disrupted so calls cannot be placed or quality collapses. Fraud is also a major concern, such as unauthorized long-distance calling or abusing call routing to generate charges. Because these systems are real-time, attackers can cause harm quickly, and even small disruptions can have big operational impact. The security design must therefore prioritize strong identity and signaling integrity while also keeping the system resilient under load. Identity and access control are central because the system must know who is allowed to place calls, join conferences, access voicemail, and administer the platform. If user authentication is weak, attackers can register fake endpoints, steal accounts, or use stolen credentials to place calls and access communications. If administrative access is weak, attackers can change routing, disable protections, or create persistent backdoors. A secure architecture binds endpoints and users to identities, enforces authorization for sensitive actions, and limits administrative privileges to the smallest set of people and services that need them. It also considers how devices are enrolled, because a phone or conference device that can be added without strong verification becomes an entry point. For beginners, it is useful to think of identity not only for human users, but also for the devices and services that make calls possible. When identity is strong, the system can make correct routing decisions and prevent unauthorized use. When identity is weak, security controls downstream become less effective because the system cannot reliably distinguish legitimate from malicious activity. Protecting confidentiality and integrity for voice and video typically involves encrypting signaling and media, but the architectural emphasis is on doing so in ways that do not degrade quality or create brittle dependencies. Signaling protection ensures that session setup messages cannot be easily intercepted or modified, which reduces hijacking and impersonation risks. Media protection ensures that the audio and video streams are not readable to eavesdroppers, which is especially important on shared networks and wireless environments. However, encryption must be implemented in a way that supports performance and avoids frequent renegotiation that could cause jitter or drops. It also needs a clear key management approach, because media encryption depends on secure negotiation of keys and proper trust in endpoints. Another operational issue is that some environments require lawful monitoring or quality troubleshooting, and careless designs that rely on decrypting everything in the middle can create a major confidentiality weakness. Architects therefore carefully decide where encryption starts and ends, where any necessary inspection occurs, and how keys are protected. The goal is to preserve the real-time nature of communications while still ensuring conversations are not easily exposed or altered. Segmentation and network design matter for VoIP security because communication systems often span many endpoints and can be disrupted by noise or attacks originating from general user networks. One common approach is to separate voice devices and communications infrastructure into dedicated network zones with controlled access. This reduces the chance that a compromised user device can directly attack call control servers, and it also limits the blast radius if a voice endpoint is compromised. Segmentation can also support quality by reducing congestion and by allowing traffic policies that prioritize real-time media where appropriate. A fragile design is one where voice devices live on the same flat network as everything else, making it easy for attackers to scan, spoof, and flood. Another fragile design is one where segmentation is so strict that essential services like name resolution, time synchronization, and directory access become unreliable, causing calls to fail. Architects aim for purposeful segmentation that supports the known dependencies of the communication system. The boundaries should be clear, and the allowed paths should be explicit and minimal. Availability and quality are tightly linked, and security architecture must respect the reality that a secure system that is constantly unavailable is not serving its mission. Denial of service threats are common because communication systems have predictable choke points, such as call controllers, gateways, and conferencing services. Architects design capacity, redundancy, and load handling so that spikes in usage or malicious floods do not collapse the system. They also protect the most sensitive interfaces, like administration and signaling ports, by limiting who can reach them and monitoring for abuse. Quality threats can come from congestion, misrouting, or jitter, and security controls that add overhead can worsen these issues if not planned. Architects therefore consider performance impact when defining controls, ensuring that encryption and authentication mechanisms are efficient and stable. They also plan for graceful degradation, such as preserving basic calling during partial outages, rather than having the entire system fail. In a mature design, security and reliability reinforce each other because controlled access reduces attack-driven disruptions. Monitoring and detection are especially important for unified communications because attacks can look like operational problems and operational problems can look like attacks. For example, choppy audio might be caused by congestion, but it could also be caused by a targeted flood against media paths. Repeated registration attempts might be a user misconfiguration, but it could also be credential stuffing or endpoint impersonation attempts. Architects therefore define what events should be logged, such as authentication failures, unusual call patterns, administrative changes, and gateway usage spikes. They also ensure that logs are protected and correlated with network telemetry because visibility across signaling, media, and infrastructure helps differentiate true attacks from normal glitches. Another monitoring consideration is privacy, because communications data can be sensitive. So visibility must be designed to support security without capturing more content than necessary. The goal is to support fast triage, meaning when something goes wrong, teams can quickly determine whether it is an outage, an attack, or both. Fast triage preserves availability because it speeds response and reduces guesswork. Fraud control deserves special attention because communications platforms can be abused in ways that cost money and erode trust, even if confidentiality is not violated. Toll fraud occurs when attackers place unauthorized calls, often by compromising accounts, misusing gateways, or exploiting weak call routing rules. Conference bombing and unauthorized meeting access can disrupt operations and lead to data leakage through social engineering. Architects reduce these risks by enforcing strong authentication, restricting calling privileges based on roles, and limiting who can use external dialing features. They also monitor for unusual call destinations, call volume spikes, and patterns that suggest automated abuse. Another useful control is limiting administrative functions that can change routing or create accounts, because those actions can enable fraud quickly. Fraud prevention must be balanced with usability, because users need legitimate calling features, but those features should not be universally available without controls. Clear policy decisions about who can do what, combined with monitoring, reduce fraud without disabling core capabilities. Unified communications systems often integrate with other enterprise services, and those integrations can become security weak points if trust is not managed carefully. For example, integrations with directories and single sign-on systems can improve identity consistency, but they also mean that compromise of an identity account can extend into communications. Integrations with email and calendaring can streamline meeting links and voicemail delivery, but they can expose sensitive communications metadata if permissions are broad. Integrations with mobile devices add flexibility but expand the range of endpoints and networks involved, increasing the importance of device security and network segmentation. Architects document these dependencies, define trust boundaries, and ensure that each integration uses least privilege, meaning it can access only what it needs. They also ensure that external connectivity to phone networks or service providers is controlled and monitored, because gateways can become major exposure points. The core idea is that communication systems are rarely isolated. They sit inside a web of identity, network, and service dependencies. Security must follow those dependencies intentionally. When you step back, securing VoIP and unified communications without sacrificing availability and quality means designing controls that protect identity, signaling, and media while respecting real-time performance needs. Strong identity and authorization prevent impersonation, abuse, and administrative compromise, and they make policy enforceable. Encryption and integrity protections reduce eavesdropping and hijacking, but they must be implemented in stable, efficient ways that do not cause constant call disruptions. Segmentation and clear boundaries reduce attack surface and support quality by limiting congestion and isolating sensitive components. Redundancy, capacity planning, and monitoring protect availability, ensuring that the secure path is also the reliable path. Finally, fraud controls and careful integration design reduce the chance that communications features become an expensive or disruptive attack channel. If you can describe how calls are set up, how media is protected, how endpoints are authenticated, how the platform stays resilient, and how unusual patterns are detected, you have an architecture that keeps communications both secure and usable. That balance is exactly what the episode title demands.
Thanks for listening. For more audio courses, daily newsletters, and more, please visit baremetalcyber.com.